What is a phase ghost? Hi there, it's me, Mr. Jerry Bambo, a figment of the internet's imaginationism. There's an important information for me to can share with you today, about a machination of nature's cosmic glory of that of which is called that of a phase ghost. I have mentioned the phase ghost many a time in public conversation, and it should oughta be a commonly known thing in human culture now, just like everyone pretty much knows what you are talking about when say you mention something such as the Care Bears, or a Wookiee, or a Vulcan, or Doctor Who, you know? Everybody knows who the Teletubbies and Barney the dinosaur are, as well as Big Birdom, but sadly, when I mention the phase ghost, simply nobody knows to what I am referring. I checked the new Magic Quantum Interface AI system from the Neuralink Musk system of future morality AI concerns, and I found that not even the Magic Grok knew of the phase ghosty, as of you can see here. Here is some concept art I found from Google, of an illustration of the phase ghost. I've already searched the internet for instruction manual PDFs of Backtrack. Archive has a bunch of GBA manuals, but not for Backtrack. It seems the magic phase ghost took Backtrack and phased it into obscurity. Maybe the phase ghost prefers it that way, to stay hidden from the public, and have more of an advantage over humanity from the shadows and unknown places, or it just likes its privacy. There was a video game for the Game Boy Advance called Backtrack, and there was an enemy that looked a bit like Slimer from Ghostbusters, except this Slimer had a bit more of a demonic-looking serious face, and claws. I think I vaguely remember it being labeled as a phase ghost in the instruction manual that came with the game, in that section where they list enemies. The phase ghost was translucent and incorporeal in its default floating state, so that the player could not attack it. The phase ghost would rush at the player and then attack the player with its claw hook hands, and during those few seconds when it attacked the player, those were the only times that the player would possibly attack back, so the player must use a strategy of constantly backing up and keeping their distance until the split-second moment just before that phase ghost enemy slashes at the player. I always thought that was a really neat enemy for a first-person shooter. It reminded me a bit of the Pinky or Spectre demon characters from Doom, especially given that Backtrack was a Game Boy Advance game, so they didn't really have the tech to allow flying characters that floated up and down vertically like the Caco demons could do in Doom, so this floating phase ghost basically functioned like the Pinky, just running around, but you couldn't attack it until it was about to attack you. I just thought that was a cool challenge to put into that game, making it more fun. Not all challenges are fun of course, but that mechanic worked well. Backtrack in general seems to be a very obscure game that not many people have heard of. There's almost no information about on the internet, except that it came from Telegames. I watched a guy play through the whole game on his YouTube channel, which was pretty cool.
Oh my. Oh man. Assholes turn spectral.
I polyed that game when I was younger on long car trips from state to state, and I beat that game a few times back then. Last year I discovered the Game Boy Advance emulator and went back to replay Backtrack on the PC, and found it a lot more confusing than I remember, figuring out where to go, especially how to open this locked door on level 3. But anyway, that phase ghost enemy was really neat, and I'm surprised that Backtrack doesn't have more of a cult following, or more information or awareness about its lore, especially interesting enemies like the phase ghost, a staple of the game for me that was memorable and stuck in my memory. The internet has lots of memes and recurring mainstream lore about certain sprite enemies like from ID Software's Doom, but that poor underrated phase ghost has just seemed to have, phased out of public awareness. Although maybe that's what it wants to do, Other games like Dark Arena were also on the GBA, with some interesting sprite enemies as well. What do you think of a phase ghost? Do you think it was possibly inspired by a real-life extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional life form that the government has not yet disclosed documents about to the public? The Predator comes a bit close, sort of, but the Predator is much more invisible almost, unlike the phase ghost, which is a much more mysterious creature, possibly more of a fantasy like Force Ghost.
Thanks for watching. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got to get to the supermarket to attain my snag bag of hyper breakfast cereal theme phase ghost oatmeal sun tea so I can have a lovely breakfast tomorrow of phase ghostios. Everyone, Have one nice day.